Welcome everybody to we'll call it the Super Sunday show, but it's on Monday. Go figure. Well, I had some technical issues yesterday. Couldn't do the podcast. And Gary, you're having a show later this evening?
Yep.
All right. So Gary's going to have two podcasts. Today, he might get to say how he feels about things, and later he will, be the man sitting back asking the questions, right? So you got a perfect day ahead of you, Gary, a Labor Day. Two podcasts coming towards you. So with that being said, Gary, what we started the weekend first, and we got to watch all the football after our disappointing draw. What was your takeaway from this weekend of football, Gary?
Yeah, just another opportunity lost. I mean, this is kind of what we did in last season. All right, had opportunity to win a game. It didn't matter what was the scenario. We didn't learn from last season. 3 games in, we've dropped points in a game that we probably should have won because we would have scored, and it wouldn't have really mattered. Basically the Fulham game all over again, except for there was a little bit of a different kind of a hiccup. We didn't give up the goal. We just didn't score enough goals like we did in that Fulham game to make sure that one mistake cost us points, all the points. So yeah, so that's kind of how if I want to look at it, that's how I'm going to look at it. Or the more things change, the more they remain the same. All right. We had more than enough opportunities to get the win early. We let it drag on, and we paid for it.
Yep.
How many times have we said, those missed opportunities, be it either shots or, being lax in the box, are they going to come back to haunt us? And once again, they come back to haunt us pretty much all the time. If you look at any of our losses, they all come back to the same thing. Can we be clinical in front of goal? And so far, the answer is still no.
Yeah. We didn't take advantage of our chances early on, and we talked about this last season. If you don't take your chances, you have to separate. You have to separate away from the officials or a bad decision going against you, and that's kind of what happened. A bad decision happened, but it was in our control. And then you have to watch Erling Haaland get his usual August or September hat trick. He tends to start off pretty hot, but then cools down, hopefully.
He's got 2 already, so
yeah, 2 hat tricks already.
2. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. In 3 games. Okay. There you go. 2 hat tricks already. And then you watch your rivals play the games and win the games, and we have to rationalize our point at the end of this weekend. Go into 2 weeks off and face into a North London derby in 2 weeks from now. So, Lawrence, what are your thoughts on the weekend?
I'm going to play devil's advocate, okay, because I've seen a lot of people losing it online.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before the Premier League season started, all the clubs were notified that referees were going to clamp down on time wasting and delay of game. Okay. The game itself shows why we had a poor transfer window, why we didn't get an out-and-out striker when we should have been going for that instead of midfielders and defenders. Okay. I love Declan Rice. Don't get me wrong. I love Declan Rice. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But he made his actions made it easy for the referee to make a decision. You're on a yellow card, okay, and whether you intentionally kick the ball away or if the player kicked your leg or the ball hit your leg, you're in trouble. All you had to do was retreat a couple of yards. You didn't have to retreat, the full 10 yards. You could have just stood back, for like a couple of yards, you would have still been on the pitch. But he made a decision that made it easy for the referee to make the decision he made. Okay. In saying that, there was an incident in the first half where João Pedro of Brighton kicked the ball away when it went out of touch, and he didn't get a yellow card.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I've got a lot of issues here, you know, with the way Arsenal conducted itself in the transfer window. As we all know, I saw a video of Edu that he placed on Facebook where he was laughing with the people that handled transfer business at the club. Okay. If that is how Edu wants to react on transfer deadline day, then he should step down as sporting director and leave the club. Okay. This transfer window has been poor. 2 out of 10. If anyone thinks Raheem Sterling is the answer to our problems, then excuse me, then leave me your phone number, because I know a guy who wants to sell you the Brooklyn Bridge. Okay. We had chances to win that game on Saturday. Martin Odegaard missed an easy chance from a Leo Trossard. Excuse me. Leo Trossard cross.
Yep.
And Saka had an easy chance in the first half when he should have wellied the ball and he tried to place it. Havertz, you know, should have stuck that chance away in the second half when he was on his way through to the goal, and Saka missed an easy chance near the end. So, in all aspects, this is what happens when you don't get an out-and-out striker. Again, we were not clinical in the final third, and that's why we're 2 points behind Man City and Liverpool after 3 games in the season.
Yep. There's a lot of points there, Stan. I know you've been digesting all of that. What are your thoughts, Stan?
Where do you want to start?
Wherever. I mean, there's a lot to get into. I think Lawrence has covered quite a lot of it, and some of it's very legitimate as well.
Well, looking at the Declan Rice situation, which is probably the biggest talking point of the match.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 50-50, isn't it? I mean, yes, there is a rule book, and the rule book, you know, you could say that the referee has applied the letter of the law. That's fine, but all I'm asking for is a little bit of consistency within the same game. You know, João Pedro, when he kicked the ball away, I mean, he properly kicked the ball away, and nothing is done. And Declan Rice is on a yellow card, and he gives the referee an opportunity. So there's no consistency there. But I mean, when the defender went down, for me, he was still pissed off at the previous tackle. And I think that he's purposely rolled the ball towards Declan Rice because he wants to get up and have a kick. Irrespective of Declan Rice wanting to kick the ball away or nudge it with his ankle or whatever you want to call it, trickle it away, the intention of the defender, what's his name? Veltman. Yeah, I think his intention was to roll the ball towards Declan Rice so he could get up and then have a nibble. So, you know, at least the yellow card should have been for him as well. You know, he should have got booked in some form or cautioned in some form. Could have even been, you could even say it could have been a straight red for him as well, and then we're down to 10 each. But you know, from our side of it, you know, why did Declan Rice? I mean, he didn't boot it. It was a nudge, but I mean,
yeah, but did he even? Did he need to be there, Stan?
No, but it's quite pedantic of the referee to give that in light of the wellied kick of the player previously. Do you know what I mean? Like, one is a proper boot away, one isn't, and the one that gets booked is the player that just got kicked and is rolling around on the floor as well. And nothing is done to the offending player that gives the kick either. Like, that's totally forgotten about. It's almost like Declan Rice nudging the ball away with his ankle has now overwritten the other player kicking him. And you can't take a free kick with a moving ball anyway.
No.
So that would have had to have been retaken. So there's a lot of inconsistency for me. And that's what pisses me off. If you're going to apply the letter of the law, then apply it in all aspects, especially for a similar offence. And we're not even talking about, did you see that game earlier where that guy kicked the ball away? And this is in the same game, the same referee. It's not like another match with another referee who might have seen things differently. It's the same guy in the same 90-minute span. And there's no consistency.
I'm very glad that you're all referencing just the same game because, listen, we've seen instances of this happening in other games this weekend, but what we're looking for is consistency from one set of officials in one game. So we'll talk about Arsenal versus Brighton. The Veltman, first of all, Declan Rice on a yellow card, a challenge that we knew he probably wasn't getting to. Declan Rice knew he wasn't getting to in the first half. Gets a yellow card, no issue with that at all. And Declan Rice is now walking what they call a tightrope. And so if you're really good about not giving the referee an opportunity to do something again, you walk away. You walk away from that incident. You don't kick the ball away. Veltman has thrown the ball forward in an effort to take a quick free kick. If Rice would have walked on, he would have been still in the way of Veltman. And I believe Veltman would have booted the ball against Rice's legs.
Yeah.
In another scenario.
And nothing would have happened.
No, the second yellow would have been given then.
They would have. He's walking away at that point. So no matter you're saying no matter what Rice does in a situation, if he doesn't touch the ball and he continues to walk up the pitch and he gets in the way of a free kick, he's still going to get a yellow. So basically, the man, you just said that. You said he'll still get a yellow, and I'm saying he needs to be given time to walk away from that ball.
We saw what the referee did,
which was moving anyways. Everybody's trying to say Rice has all to do with this, not the official who didn't even see it. Because if you look at the play, there's no way he saw any of that.
I agree.
He made a judgment call based on who knows what was in his ears.
His linesman.
And that linesman was further up the pitch. He didn't see any of that either. Nobody saw the entire situation.
The linesman would have seen him flick the ball away.
They took pieces of a situation and then made a judgment call. All right? VAR could have stood in and said, you guys are wrong. This guy instigated this thing from the get-go. All right? Kicks the ball off of Rice to start. He kicks the ball off of Rice to start. The ball is still moving, and he just wanted to kick Rice, and he did. He got to do it. You bailed him out by doing absolutely nothing. All right? It's dangerous play. Kick a ball knowing the play is right there. You know this. Everybody knows this. All right? We see it all the time. In the middle of the pitch, the ball's there. Follow through hits. The person that hits sometimes gets the penalty. Yeah. We've seen it. Right? So not one thing was given to the Brighton player in this whole situation as if he did nothing wrong.
Correct.
And I think that's where the problem is. Like, you can pick like 5 or 6 things where Brighton got everything they needed on this situation. And the one little thing that Rice did is the one thing we all harp on. I think that's where, you know what? No, there's no holier than thou that Rice has to be better than everybody. Because if you remember in that same game, after that,
on the yellow card,
after that yellow, Saka, when there's a dead ball, grabs it and throws it away. No yellow. All right, so everybody's like, you know what? They're probably never going to give that again. And guess what? They didn't. There were like 11 to 12, 15 situations on the Sunday games. Nothing. So, though I don't blaming Rice for that one situation, I think is wrong. Because guess what? That's how football is played now. Players do it all the damn time, and it doesn't mean a damn thing. Doesn't matter if they're on yellow or not. We've seen it too many times for it to be like, all right, in this situation, now we're gonna do the right thing when we've been poor the entire time. They've been wrong the entire time, but now they did it the one time, and it affects us. Yes, Now it's okay? Nah. Be
It always seems to
be
affect us.
consistent,
But
right?
Every
How many
season.
years are we
Gary,
going to go through this? What happened?
Yep.
First 3 games of the season. Do you guys remember?
Last season,
Right?
Tomiyasu,
Tomiyasu gets a yellow for what?
Martinelli, the season
For
before
a
that.
player who dived,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Did we
Throw
say
in.
anything about that? He gets a second yellow, he's out the game, right? For time
But
wasting, and it
Gary,
wasn't even his fault. He can't time waste when he gets the ball after he's like the second or third person to touch it after the dead ball, but he gets the yellow. So no, you get
but Gary,
it's
but Gary,
too coincidental for it not to be an issue. It is an issue. Whether it's a conspiracy, that's a different story. But it's an issue, and we're blaming the wrong people. We're blaming the players for an institution that has wronged the sport.
yeah, but Gary, right? They said in the commentary that VAR cannot intervene.
They can intervene on
Okay,
the red
on that.
card. It's a red card
No.
offense when you kick a player in the leg. You're telling me
Yeah.
no, that's not
And you-
dangerous play? No, they didn't even think about to look at that. What? Are you kidding me? Retaliation? No, that's okay. Come on. Nah. I'm not having it on this that Rice is the only one to blame in this whole situation.
Gary,
Right? 'Cause he
Gary,
got-
Gary, if you're on a yellow card, you know you're one infringement away from being sent off. He has to be a little bit more
he
clever.
didn't
in
do
this
anything
situation.
that he hasn't done for the last 15 years of football.
Just first
I'm
sending
telling
off,
you,
isn't it?
you see it in every
card.
game.
So,
In every game,
so,
you
so,
see it.
Yeah, red card.
And
so
you know what?
Gary,
And
if I'm on a,
once again, if you want to play to the letter of the law, which all of you guys want to, when he kicked the ball the first time off of Rice's foot, the ball's live, and all he does is kick
What-
it out of bounds.
what
So
I
if you really,
want-
if you really want to play this, let's play it to the letter of the law.
Here's
He
what I
kicks the
want.
ball the first time. That is the kick. It goes off of his leg and it's rolling. He taps it out. The ball should be out of bounds, and it should be at least a yellow card for kicking a player. All right? It's a dangerous play. So if you really want to play this, let's play it by the book thing. He kicks the ball the first
I'm
time. You
not
watch the
saying-
replay. You see him kick the ball as he's getting up. It hits off
We
the back
are
of Rice's
saying-
leg, rolls forward. Rice tips it out. At that point, it's actually a ball out. The ball's out for a throw-in. Right?
So,
What we're
Gary,
saying,
if I-
So,
what we're
so,
saying
you
is
know-
we want consistency, Gary.
So,
no.
Gary,
Well, you're not saying consistency because you're like, you know what, Rice, you should have got that.
I
Right?
said
And I'm like, no,
consistency.
I don't think so.
So, Gary, if I'm on a yellow card, right? If I'm on a yellow card in a game, and I stop you from taking a free kick because I'm 2 yards away, and you fall over, do you think I should stay on the
You're
pitch?
making things up. I'm just telling you what happened in that game. You're making a scenario that didn't
No,
happen.
it's the same
In
thing.
that particular game, Rice tapped a
He's
ball that was
giving you-
actually
he's asking you a question.
live. He taps a ball that's actually live now, out of bounds, and he gets kicked. So to play this card right, if you want to play it right all of a sudden, you want to be, let's do this the right way. Rice got attacked. He got kicked.
All right.
Should be a red card. And there you go. Because that's
All right,
dangerous
Gary.
play.
We
If
know
you really
where
wanna
you
play that.
stand.
No, you don't want to. You guys don't want to play
Right.
that game. You wanted to talk about a situation that didn't actually occur.
Hold on a second. So now we know very clearly where you stand, Gary. So let Lawrence and Stan reply. Lawrence, you want to go first?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I understand Gary's frustration, right? I was frustrated as well. But as I said, at the end of the day, Declan Rice helped the referee to make a decision. Okay? As I said, if Rice had thought for a minute and just retreated maybe 2 or 3 yards, he wouldn't have been sent off. He would probably have just have been warned for not retreating the full 10 yards. Okay? Now with this referee, I'm not letting this referee off as well, because I think that he had a good game. Okay? He refereed Bournemouth v Newcastle last week.
Yep.
There were 2 incidents in that game. Right? There was an incident where Neto, who's now with us, he tried to release the ball from his goal area, and Joe Linton, clocked him with his shoulder to prevent him from releasing the ball. And the referee, Chris Kavanagh did absolutely fuck all. He let play carry on when that should have been a free kick to Bournemouth and a yellow card. Okay, there was another incident right at the end of the game where Bournemouth thought they had scored a winning goal, where the ball came off the shoulder of the Bournemouth player. He first gave the goal, and then he changed his mind because he thought it was handball. And they later proved that the ball hit the guy on the top of his shoulder, which is not deemed handball. So this referee that refereed the game on Saturday has a lot to answer to. Okay, he was stopping the game every time we went in for a 50-50 challenge. Yet when Brighton had the ball, he let it go. Sorry, when Brighton players went in on a 50-50 challenge with us, they got away with it.
Right.
So this referee has a lot to answer to as well. And apparently this is not the first time he's done this.
Yeah. Stan?
Well, I'd just be repeating myself really from the previous statement. I'm looking for consistency.
Okay. I
kind of agree a lot with Gary that Veltman as well didn't receive any kind of punishment, and he kind of he instigated the whole thing by moving the ball towards Rice because he wanted to have another nibble at him from the previous challenge. He was still had a head of steam for whatever reason from that previous challenge and wanted to get a little bit back on Rice. And consistency for me, that's the main thing. We saw it's the same match. It's not like we're talking about something happened earlier in another match.
Yeah.
Same 90 minutes, same referee, same linesman, and we see that there's no consistency in the game.
There was also another incident in the same game right at the end.
I don't know whether that means that we would have lost the game anyway, because that's another story, but it doesn't help. And it's something that's always going to leave you scratching your head. If we had an extra man on the pitch, could we some way have turned it around? We'll never know.
Yeah. There was an incident right at the end where a Brighton player picked up the ball, walked forward about 10 yards and threw the ball back to the spot. Is that not delaying the game as well right at the end of the game? Is that not to be counted the same way as Declan Rice does? One other thing I want to get in before, not that I'm going to forget about it, but it's Danny Welbeck, an Arsenal player, former Arsenal player, who is a professional player now playing for Brighton, and he's going to seek every advantage for his club. But he's the one who's talking on the sideline within the earshot of the referee saying, that's a second yellow. That's a red. And he's gesturing with his hand for a yellow card. And the referee has fallen hook, line, and sinker for that narrative for the player, trying to referee a game. I don't know if the referee was going to give Rice a second yellow card, but immediately upon Danny Welbeck gesturing for and asking for a second yellow card, he produces it from his pocket. So the referee needs to have his own conviction. Gary's rightly said that he's far away from the incident. There's players in the way. He has not seen the incident. The linesman, whoever's in his ear, has had to have tell him what's going on. And look, it is what it is. But it always seems to be Arsenal that gets their hands wrapped early doors each and every season.
But it's no different to saying if this was like an Arsenal versus Man City fixture, and let's say it was Rodrigo who was already on a yellow card, and he found himself in a similar situation where, let's say, Rice was Veltman, and all the same actions happened, and Rodrigo's the one that's nudged the ball away at the end of it, and the refs come over, and Ben White is standing there in earshot saying, well, that's his second yellow, so surely that should be a red, and Rodrigo gets sent off. We'd all be sat here laughing about the shithousery of Ben White. Yeah. We wouldn't be going, fucking hell, Ben White. If Ben White had only kept his mouth shut, maybe the referee would have kept Rodrigo on. No one would be saying that. So it is what it is, right?
Consistency is what it is, though. That's the reason why we would all giggle, because guess what? If you're not gonna, they're not gonna fix the problem, right? PGML doesn't want to fix it. The league doesn't want to fix it. The teams don't care about it. Nobody in this situation actually wants to fix the problem. If they did, they would stand up and fix it, right? When there was a Super League situation, guess what? Everybody stood up and heed the warning, right? If they want to, they could fix it. No team wants to do it because I feel like if a team stood up and said, you guys need to do right by the league, by the sport, they would get alienated. And then they would be concerned that, you know what, we're never going to get the calls. But if the entire league stood up and said, you guys need to fix your problem, right? Right? How is it that all of a sudden the antics of the managers on the sideline is an issue and we're going to make a point of cleaning that up, right? But the incompetence of the officials is barely looked at. They don't fix any of it. There's nothing has changed year over year, right? Nothing has changed. So they're not going to change it until somebody says you guys got to fix. They're killing the sport. Do you guys like football? We like football, right?
They're not making it easy.
Nobody wants to watch this football anymore the way they did in the past because guess what?
Yeah.
They're hurting the sport.
Yeah, but Gary, all the Premier League clubs were warned by the PGMOL that referees were going to stamp out on time wasting and delay of game. So every club knew the new rules this season.
How many teams got punished by it, Lawrence? How many teams have gotten punished for it? Can you name one outside of London Emirates Stadium that plays there and that's their home match? Can you tell me one other team?
Well, the season is only 3 weeks old.
It happened 11 times on Sunday alone. Who cares? Who knows what happened on Saturday?
Yeah,
it's actually how it works. You watched a football match? Have you watched any football? You see it 4 or 5 times a game, no doubt. It happens all the time. It's not a single. It just happened in this one game. It happens every game.
No, but what?
Does it say like, look? The league said we're gonna fix this, and all of a sudden, one team gets punished by it. Everybody else is let go. I think that's the problem. That's Stan doesn't like that. I can speak for Stan. He don't like that. So
okay.
to keep bringing it up when they're not even fixing it, I think is you're lying. You're kidding yourself. It's not. They're not fixing it.
I watched Talk Sport this morning, and I don't know if you heard of Simon Jordan. Used to be chairman of Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was saying that what happened over the weekend is down to managers, players, and fans moaning and crying that everything is unfair in the game, right? And this is why managers were moaning, saying, "Oh well, there's not enough time. We're not, the time isn't taken into account for time wasting."
Yeah.
Okay, we've got to play an extra 20 minutes every game. Players are cheating. Players are feigning injuries. You've seen players drop to their knees to stop play. This is down to players and managers, trying to bend the rules. It's not just Arsenal. It's all the Premier League teams who are trying to pull a fast one. You see players dropping to their knees every 5 minutes. You saw James Milner drop to his knees after 5 minutes on Saturday.
80 years old.
Yeah.
He left the game early after that.
Tony doesn't even register that he's a player and he's alive anymore. By Tony's book, he's gone. He's blotted him out.
All that stuff you're talking about, Lawrence.
Yeah.
What has the PGML, it's actually their job to officiate the game and make sure the teams are following the rules.
Yeah.
What are they doing? You want to blame the players who are allowed to do it, the coaches who will put it into their game plan, and you want to blame everybody else, but the people whose job it is. That's their job. Now, it's not the coach's job. It's not the player's job. It's the PGMO who runs the referees. It's their job to fix it. They're not fixing it. And you
We
keep
are-
stop blaming everybody else. Blame the actual people who are in charge.
Yeah.
The people who are in charge
So,
of
I'm
We are
just
gonna
put
move
words-
this on a
I'm
little
not-
bit.
I'm not.
Lawrence,
I'm not.
Gary?
I'm not putting words into anyone's mouth. I'm just telling you. This is what Simon Jordan said.
Yeah, but Simon
All
Jordan
right,
is
sorry,
not talking
this
for the
moment.
cheap PGML. He's saying the players and everybody else is at fault.
We're going to move
It's not
this
their
on a little
job.
bit.
It's not
Okay.
their job.
And this is a little bit toward the media as well. The media have a part to play in this. The media continue the narratives. I mean, the narratives of the fans are the narratives of the media. Stan, the media seem to, they know they're sitting on a golden egg with the Premier League. They have a lot of viewership. They have a lot of people watching. The media and these pundits will carry the can for the officials. In a lot of cases, they'll tell you why the official did this or why not the official did that. They don't really push back too much, Stan.
No, but no, they do, don't they? Sometimes you see them say it's a terrible decision. They don't just sit on the fence. They will tell you if they think it's a terrible decision. And in this case, it seems to be a bit 50-50. You know, you got those that are talking about following the letter of the law, but then even you have other other pundits, which are ex-players and ex-managers, saying that that's just a ridiculous decision, especially when you compare it to the previous infraction by Pedro. So there's no consistency. So if you're going to say, well, we're applying the letter of the law, did you only start applying it in whatever minute it was that Declan Rice done that? Before that, you weren't applying it. You only started to apply the letter of the law at that moment. And that's what annoys me. It's in the same game, the same guy, the same pitch, the same players, the same environment, and you can't get it right in one game. That to me would say, well, you obviously need to be retrained because you obviously don't know what the rules are because you're getting it wrong. If you kick the ball away and you waste time, that's supposed to be a booking. But in that referee's eyes, it depends on, I don't know. What does it depend on? Does it depend on what team you play for? Why?
I mean,
why?
If you're
Why is it
looking
different?
if you're looking at this game in the eyes of this referee, he's very clearly handed out decisions that have allowed the away team to get a foothold into the game, and has penalized the home team, Arsenal, to go ahead and dominate the game because we were doing quite well. We scored the goal. We should have scored a goal before we scored the goal. We were 1-0 up. We go in at halftime 1-0 up, and 4 minutes into the second half, this opportunity or this incident arrives. Yes, Mikel Arteta was very bad in sort of setting his team up for about 10 minutes after the sending off. We were all at sea. I'm actually thinking we're going to lose this game. If it was not for David Raya pulling off a great save and their players actually not taking a chance here and there, we would not have even gotten a draw. The chances that you referenced, Lawrence, from Saka and Havertz, when you're a man down, you're running around a lot. You're tired. You're gassed. And those players were gassed on those chances. Bukayo Saka and Havertz. People saying Havertz should have cleanly scored. He did have a look at the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper makes a good save. But when you're playing 11 versus 10, it's very, very difficult for the team who are 10. Now, Mikel Arteta did not set us up well with 3 at the back as well.
Well, this is my point exactly, because as I said, this shows why we had a poor transfer window, because Havertz is not an out-and-out striker. You know, he should have buried that chance, but he didn't. Okay?
Yeah.
So the questions have got to be asked of Mikel Arteta and Edu. Why they did not bring in an out-and-out striker in the transfer window. And like you said as well, it took Arteta to 10 minutes to organise the team after Rice got sent off. And by that time, Brighton had equalised.
Yep. Agreed.
You know, so this is down to Arteta as well, not just the team.
Sure.
This is down to Arteta because, again, his bad man management has cost us 2 points.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and disagree with you because Stan had looked really bad for about 10 minutes after Rice went off.
Yeah, it seemed like there should have been a decision made a lot quicker. You see, usually when a team goes down to 10, you usually see that as a change very soon after that in some way. And we seem to have just almost like he'd frozen a little bit, like he didn't quite know what he was going to do. Meanwhile, the game was being played out in front of him. He might have paused, but the game hadn't. You know, the game was still being played. And
Yeah.
did you know what I mean?
Point.
He was kind of like, oh my God, what, you know, missing it totally. But, you know, and I have to agree with Lawrence because, you know, people are saying, well, Declan Rice now is not going to be around. You know, Declan Rice is out. He's going to miss the North London derby. But we always knew going into this season that if there's an injury to Declan Rice or a suspension or anything like that, we knew how many people that we have in reserve and who they are. So there's no point complaining about that now. You know, we always knew then, okay, we're going to have to figure something out of Thomas Partey and Jorginho. That's why they're in the squad. For me, the one that I'm more concerned about is Martin Odegaard because he took a bit of a kick and he didn't seem to be the same for me. Once he took that kick, he wasn't the same for the rest of the game. He wasn't able to lead the press as he always does. And for me, I'm more worried about, well, if anything ever happens to him for a couple of months, for example, let's say it's an injury, what are we going to do? Are we going to throw in what, you know, Ranieri? And we know he's going to get minutes, and he's probably going to have some good games. But he's a young lad. There will be inconsistencies, and you can't throw someone like him in for 2 months. It's just not. It will just probably kill him. You know, there'll be some good performances, but there will be guaranteed performances where he's not up to the level because he's young. And those bad performances, what are they going to do? Those bad performances will garner a wave of criticism on social media.
We want to see the upside of a young player coming in.
Exactly. I'm concerned about. And I have to. What I'm saying is, I kind of agree with what Lawrence is saying. Is that we haven't done enough in this transfer window. I think we've gone into this season. We're a lot shorter than we were last season in terms of personnel. We haven't replaced everybody that's gone out, and we were short before. If we were kind of on the fringes of being short last season, where does that leave us now? So
we were short before because Arteta wouldn't play Emile Smith-Rowe, wouldn't play Fabio Vieira due to injury or not.
Wouldn't play Nelson.
Nelson very much, and Kedia got phased out after Fulham. You know, Fulham away from home, we lost. We lost away from home. Was our last loss in the league, and we went. We lost Aston Villa at one time. We went 18 out of 19 with wins, but have we done enough in this window? It doesn't look like it now. Fans were screaming out for Raheem Sterling's come in now as that cover for Bukayo Saka.
With Kai Havertz, he kind of again answered the same questions. Yes, he will score goals, and the goal that he scored, a fantastic goal. But when other chances present themselves, you know, he squanders those. And if we start to write down, and if we started to keep a log of how many goals between him and Jesus, both of them together will end up squandering over the course of a season. You start to see, I'm not saying that another striker would convert every single one of them, but maybe a well-rounded number 9 would finish more of them. And
we need more.
That's what gets you over the line, right?
Yeah.
That's what
we need more scoring. We need more scoring as well. In the first half, Lawrence,
strikers never score in one game and then go into the next game and get a brace, or they score 2 in one game and follow it up in the next game with another goal. There's always these gaps, or there's these other chances. They'll score a goal and then they'll miss the next 3 chances. And that is not
the problem for me with Havertz, though.
Hold on to that point, Lawrence. Let Gary go.
With Havertz, and we know it, right? If you give him time, he's going to miss it. Like the goal that he scored in the Brighton game, he only had like a second to think about what to do next, which was just tap it over the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
And the time when he gets the ball earlier, right? It's like basically a 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper, which is when he's at least threatening. The goalkeeper doesn't even really have to do anything because he's gonna miss he doesn't even put the shot on target most of the time, and if he does, there's nothing on it, and it just rolls to the goalkeeper. So. Yeah, I mean, when he's got to think about it, he thinks long, thinks wrong kind of thing. When he doesn't have time to think, he just puts the ball
Yeah.
at the goal, no problem.
Yeah.
So
Or as shown by the first goal.
that's why we needed to, I don't understand the strategy that says you got a really good defense, one of the top in the league. Let's double up and put at least two players in there. Your offense struggles at times during the season. Let's not add to
You
it
look at
all. Like they
you
didn't
put-
like the fact that you went for Sesko to begin this transfer window, and then it seemed like there was no other plan B that was achievable, right? We've been lucky. We've gotten lucky, right? Think about it. We went for Mudryk, that failed. We ended up with Trossard. That was actually a good win, right? Sterling might be a good win, but it would have been a good win having him already signed up to go,
And
before the season started, so he could actually be part of the squad right away. But I think they've yes, defenses win championships, but we want to win some games, and we're not winning these games because
I don't know. Ultimately, if in the Premier League defenses are going to win you championships. You look at Man City, the amount of goals they can score. If you can score goals and win this league, that's been proven. Arteta's trying to do it a different way by being defensively sound. Lawrence, what did you have a minute ago?
Well, I just wanted to ask you a question. Do you think Erling Haaland, if he had that opportunity Havertz had in the second half, do you think he would have missed that? Do you think Cole Palmer would have missed that opportunity?
Hold on. Okay. I got you. Do you think he would have taken the chance if he had been playing one man down and had to run around a lot? You know what I mean? I don't know. The game state, you have to think about the game state as well. We had a man down. Brighton are a good tactical team. They're going to hold on to the ball and make you run after the ball. And they had a lot of possession. When Mikel Arteta was trying to figure out what to do for that 10 minutes, Brighton had a lot of territorial possession and a lot of possession in our half. And if Tony's watching, let's not go to a 3 at the back, Tony, because that didn't work. It's too defensive. Our wing backs didn't know what to do at all. Really said these are the games which ultimately wins you titles. Is it a game where potentially we could have won the game, or is it getting a point, really? What do you mean by that? Is getting 1 point and not losing, that could potentially win you a title as well, right? Because David Raya stood tall and stood firm in the last 20 minutes of that game.
Michael said, BX says that every player misses chances, and I agree with him. But unfortunately, on our team, in a couple of key places, Havertz and Jesus, they miss too many. It's not that the players miss chances; they miss too many. It becomes the talking point. You don't expect 10 shots, 10 goals, but if it's like 10 shots, 4 goals, it becomes the talking point of what you're missing compared to the ones that you're actually putting away, because it's becoming frequent. And it definitely, I notice it. I've noticed it between Eddie, Havertz, Jesus, and now even Martinelli. They find themselves into opportunities.
I don't think Havertz is in that group of players.
No, what I'm saying is these are players that find themselves, that can get themselves into goal scoring opportunities.
Okay.
But all of those players, for me, miss more than what they put away.
Well, I don't think Havertz is in that group yet.
Havertz.
Really?
No,
I don't think Havertz is in the same group as a Martinelli or an Nketiah.
3 chances, he scores 1. 4 chances, he'll score 1. As I say, when did he ever get a brace in the game? When is the last? He plays up front now. When did he score 2 goals in the game? And then in the next game, he scores another 1. We don't see it. It's streaky. He'll score a goal, a really good goal, like the one that he scored in the last match. But then he'll find himself 1-on-1 with the keeper, and instead of getting the brace, no, he doesn't.
All right.
You can't stick up. You can't change that narrative, Ray. We've seen it. And what I'm saying is that the ones, it's all right coming out scoring 15 goals at the end of the season, but then when you add into it the other chances that he's missing, you're thinking there could be another 6 goals there. Easy. It's not like he's scoring 15 but he's only getting himself
He's
into,
had two.
you know, it's not like he's scoring 15
Two and
goals, but he's
three.
only getting himself into, say, 18 scoring chances. And out of those 18
What?
scoring
Are
chances,
you asking?
15
He's had 2 goals in 3 games. That's not bad.
Yeah, but you know what? He's had 2 one-on-ones with the goalkeeper, and
but
he's
it's the misses.
0 for 2. And as a striker, as a forward, when you're one-on-one with the goalkeeper,
Exactly. Thank you,
that
Gary.
after somewhat being, you should be at least 50%, right? No, a forward, any forward, pick a side.
So
A one-on-one with the
he gets it
goalkeeper,
on target.
one-on-one with the goalkeeper. You're expecting a goal.
He gets
aren't
it
you?
on target.
No.
and the
Are you
goalkeeper
expecting a
saves it.
goal one-on-one with a goalkeeper if you're a forward in the Premier League? A starting
Same with
forward in the
Jesus,
Premier
it's
League.
fine.
Are
He's
you
gassed. When he
expecting
gets into that position, he's gassed. He's run the length of a field to get
You
onto
know
the
what?
end of
That's
that.
his job. Dude, how often are you just you now you want them? Okay, so now you're saying he's not trained and he hasn't had the right
Right.
training because he can't make that run and
listen,
put the ball on target.
People,
Then we need someone that can.
let the chat box decide as well. So that one-on-one chance that Kai Havertz has, do you think it's a good save from the goalkeeper, or do you think Havertz should be scoring that? You know what I mean? Is it a 50-50 or is it a greater than a 50-50 chance?
But the thing is, right, we're not talking about it because it's that particular opportunity. We're talking about it because we've seen it all too often. It's not again. It's not like, players miss. It's not like he's, you know what I mean? We're isolating this one incident. It's just the latest in a stream of other misses and opportunities that he has had, in my view.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, we all as Arsenal fans wanted him to put that away as well. Arteta needed.
You expect that. You should expect that, Ray. You should expect that it's one-on-one with the goalkeeper. You score. It's almost like saying if you're shooting a penalty kick, do you expect to score? Yes. Same thing with a one-on-one with the goalkeeper.
You expect that from Bukayo Saka?
Yes.
You expect it from Trossard?
Yes.
You expect it from Martinelli?
Yes. Vertigor, yes. You expect it. Because guess what?
Slight hesitation there.
No. You expect it from all of – I said every forward, one-on-one with a goalkeeper, you expect a goal. All right?
Yeah.
We're not talking about you're going to have to shoot through 3 people and score. We're talking just a simple one-on-one with the goalkeeper.
Well, he's tussling with a defender as well. He's got a defender.
Now you're making excuses
shoulder.
for him. No, this is football. It's going to be all of that. But once you turn and you look at the goal, if the only person in front of you is the goalkeeper, it's the only person that can stop it. You should have the better odds.
And furthermore, Ray, when the keeper saved that effort, the ball rebounded to Saka. Right, and he could have gone down in the box for a penalty because there was a defender who just stuck his leg out.
Yeah, you kind of do want Bukayo Saka to try to feel that contact and ask the question of the referee, particularly after what happened with Declan Rice. Michael said it's just spoiling the league, these inconsistencies, and make the sport fair and equal in this country. We never see such things with Man City or Man United too much. That was the most one-sided officiated match I've seen since Michael Dean's Arsenal versus Chelsea shit show where every major decision was overturned. The one thing I thought about over the weekend was the Lee Mason, where they never even bothered to draw the lines in the Brentford game against Arsenal a couple of seasons ago.
Points that cost us the title that year.
Why are we always testing module for these things? I always had a feeling that we were under restrictions to spend this summer. I mean, it looks that way, doesn't it? Does it look like we shied away from going and making that big purchase? We sold well. We didn't spend. Our net spend was very close. Was very
22
small.
million.
Yeah. Didn't you expect, a shiny new toy to come in? There's got to be a forward out there somewhere, Stan, that we could have actively pursued.
Bucharest was a very easy transaction. You just pay the release fee and you move on.
Yeah.
80 mil for a goal scorer who is basically one goal per
And I
per
always
game
want
played.
to.
I think you take that anyway. Think about it. If he's doing that in the Portuguese league, right? Say he's 50% worse in the
Yeah.
Premier League.
Yeah.
That means he's hitting close to 20 goals in a season. Because the league
Yeah.
is tougher and all of this.
Yeah.
So you take those odds, right?
I always want to think the best of our club. You always do want to think the best of the club, but when we have such a real need, we have 6 forwards across these 3 positions up front, and 2 or 3 of them we're not sure what they're going to do this season. Martinelli and Jesus, I don't know what they're going to do this season. I don't know what kind of numbers they're going to put up.
I look at the transfer window now that it's finished and we can't buy anyone, and I look at Calafiori and I think to myself, did we really need to buy him? Really? We really needed, it was like a gaping hole. It was something that we needed to do. I don't think so. Now that I look at what we've actually done, I think that money could have been spent further up the field, personally.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. Exactly. I'm not saying that is about halfway through the season, and I won't be sitting there talking about how he's come off the bench or got himself into the team and is playing really well. I'm not saying that he's a bad player or anything like that. I just think to myself now, was that really necessary then? If you're only going to spend a small amount, was that where we needed to have spent it?
So, and Stan, in a bizarre way, Stan, Gary, Lawrence, in a bizarre way, we brought Calafiori into this game in that 10-minute window of madness, and we've tried to play 3 at the back with wing backs, and we surrendered much possession. We didn't really know like we had trained for 3 at the back. So Tony, don't ever bring 3 at the back. It doesn't look good, I always had a feeling we were under restrictions to spend this window. I have rethought how good our window was, and I have downgraded.
We weren't under restriction by FFP or any of that, so that wasn't the restriction. So unless it was the owners restricting, as in, hey, you still got to pay us some money back for the last window that we generously gave so you can get Declan Rice and Kai Havertz. Maybe some money had to be paid back. I don't know.
Yeah.
Self-sustaining model, right?
A lot of us have revisited our transfer rating now and downgraded it a little bit. I was at a 7, then we got Raheem Sterling, pushed it up to 7.5. But I'm really disappointed we didn't go and get a striker. What are we trying to do? Protect Kai Havertz and Jesus in these positions? Not kill their Arsenal careers? We know maybe Gabriel Jesus will be leaving in next summer.
We didn't bring anyone
like I said,
after Eddie. There's no replacement. There's no youth coming.
Didn't really replace Eddie, did we? Did we replace Eddie? No.
No. Like I said, Ray, I gave the transfer dealings 4 out of 10. After we signed Sterling, I've dropped it down to 2.
Yeah.
Poor.
At some point this season, we will see Raheem Sterling play through the middle at some point because Gabriel Jesus will be out again. Havertz is not going to play all of the games. Will need to be rested or even get a card or something like that. Someone else is going to, at some point, is going to go there, and it's probably going to be Raheem Sterling.
No, you're dead right there, Stan, and he can play across all 3 positions. He might even play left wing as well. Because the only player in this team that can keep his position will be Bukayo Saka. Indeed. Yeah, we're bringing up Haaland because, we've seen what Man City have done. We don't think there's too many chinks in their armor. They're going to do what they're going to do. And, we're going to drop points. And so everybody's going to drop points, but it feels like we have unnecessarily dropped maybe through some part of our own, but also through what the referee has done. Canterbury Gunners not taking any nonsense from Lawrence today. Lawrence, I think a lot of Arsenal fans have been affected by this Liverpool win. A very clear win from Liverpool. So look, Liverpool last season, Liverpool were in the league. They were league contenders till April. I think it'll be the same thing. They'll be thereabouts till March or April, and they'll fall away in the end. Lawrence?
Yeah, can I just answer that last post?
I'm giving you an
It's not
opportunity
about
to. Yeah.
Liverpool. I said Liverpool and Man City are now 2 points ahead of us.
Yeah.
Because, we're now in the same situation we were this time last year. Dropped 2 points against, not a bad team, but not one of the top teams in the league. Not a bad side, because we cannot kill these teams off. Okay, because the manager and sporting director failed to bring in an out-and-out striker. They seem to think we can win a Premier League title by bringing in defenders and goalkeepers all the time.
Yeah, and look, this is Arsenal fan circle here, so we're all going to have differing and opposing points of view, but I really can't argue with that. We're going into another season. We had hoped this window would separate us from doubt a little bit, doubting ourselves and what we're going to do. But what we have is pretty much what we had last season, and we're going to have 6 or 7 results where we don't score more than 1 goal, and maybe we don't score a goal at all. And so if we don't score a goal, as Gary said last week, win 0-0. You cannot win games 0-0. So, yeah, listen, we're good. We're a good team, and we're going to win games this season, and we're going to be there close at the end. But we have
I'll say as well, though, if it means that this season there was somebody that Mikel Arteta really wanted, and he didn't want to go and do all his dough now, because Sterling hasn't cost us a loan fee. There's no loan fee at all, and I think Chelsea are paying a higher percentage of the wages, more than 50%, and there's no obligation to buy. So we ain't got him wrapped around us any longer than he needs to be. If it means that we had to do that deal, and I'm just spitballing it, and because we knew that we were going to maybe go big next year on somebody like an Isak, and something like that turned out to be true, I would rather have done that than gone and spent 60 million or 50 million on a Tony,
right,
or someone that I personally I don't think would have been as good as. Do you know what I mean? Even maybe someone like a Girokis, who's playing over in the Portugal league, doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to, come to England and do the same thing. But if it meant that we go big next year, and then so be it. But I am still surprised that we've spent so little.
Yeah. No, I mean, if that's the case, then news today of Osimhen and going to Galatasaray now. He's been frozen out of Napoli, and Galatasaray are going to pay 10 million. He's going to Galatasaray in the last few hours. Yeah. I don't know if the window is shut, could Arsenal look into that? No.
Arsenal should have looked into it when they had both Osimhen and what's his name, Tony, at the same. They weren't going to sign both of them. So at that point there, you can pick and choose which one you want to go after, because they're not going to get both of them. I mean, it was that was at least the reports, is that only one of them was going to get to go. So Arsenal had a choice to go in if they really wanted to go in there and at least work a loan out. They could have worked a loan out, with an obligation.
Yeah, that's what I can.
So so I kind of felt like if Osimhen, how would I have Osimhen coming in late than Sterling for sure. You could have still got Sterling on top of that. They could have still got Sterling. Sterling doesn't cost any more than
really.
So they had. I think they had an opportunity to lean on it, but they probably don't want Osimhen, right? But I have a feeling this waiting game is going to.
I hope that what we're doing is what Stan is talking about. We're waiting, and there's a player going to be available in the summer. Reddy said, I meant that we should have won the game even with 10 men. City would do that, and that's why they win leagues every year. I don't know. I would like to see the situation if they go.
You know what? The way that
Rodri was sent off.
The way that last 30 minutes went, right? That to me is no difference than when Arsenal pretty much went into the Etihad and was okay with the draw. At least the way they played. They didn't play to get the win, right? Everybody, I was okay with the draw, but then you think about it, man, if we would have maybe, like somebody said,
Gone
I'd
pretty far.
rather lose to Brighton trying to get the win. It's 1 point, right? Then guess what? The odds you take the pot odds say you go for the win. You're at home.
I don't
You
know,
have to
Gary.
you have the best center back pairing in the league. Are
We
they going to
got two
break it down?
draws against
Are they
Villa.
going
We win the
to
league.
break it down like that every time? I don't think so. All right.
We got
Then you
two
bring in-
draws
then you
last
bring-
year against Villa. We win the league. Draws are valuable as well.
Yeah, but you get a win against Fulham, and that all goes away. And you
Yeah.
had a lead late in the
Yeah.
game. So
Give me
you know
2
what?
points forever.
Those weren't draws that teams came back on. That we had chances to win those games too. Right. So what I'm
We
saying
were
is,
winning against Fulham.
yeah, and we
at home.
didn't we had a little lapse like we had in this one.
I think
and
we're
lost-
winning
and
against
lost 2
Tottenham.
points, right? So
When
we've done this
Jorginho-
multiple times. At some point, you have to change the thinking.
Retro.
You know?
Yeah. Retro Rewind TV. You don't win these games with 10 men against
Clinical
the top
striking
8
is the
teams.
key to all of that, right?
Brighton,
Clinical
Brighton
striking is the only thing that makes those things go away.
yeah.
You're up 2 goals.
Odegaard,
Doesn't matter if you give up 1.
Trossard crosses the ball early doors for Havertz, just can't get on the end of it for a header. Odegaard has a great chance to score a volley in the first half. And Bukayo Saka, listen, it was a difficult chance, but didn't trouble the keeper very much. Havertz was off balance when he took the shot. He's not a striker, but should have scored really. So yeah, I'm feeling a lot of people are saying that he should have scored. I'm not here to. Sounds like I'm making excuses, right? They're saying we didn't have the money this year as we're still paying things from last year's signings, but we'd have been fine to spend again. We'd be fine to spend again next summer, which is disappointing when you know about the areas you have to address. Emil Smith-Rowe and Vieira going. Mourinho gets injured. What does the North London derby look like?
And El Neni.
And
People from the
El Neni.
midfield area. We've only brought one.
Why does Sterling hate? We don't hate Sterling. I think he's actually gonna give Bukayo Saka some much needed rest if we play 55 to 60 games this season. And we've just gone through the UEFA Champions League fixtures, and that's going to come thick and fast pretty soon.
I don't think it's that people hate Sterling. I think there's a lot of people that were thinking, well, I thought we were going to get a Nico Williams if we were going to buy a wide player, or maybe a Rafael Leao. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're thinking of those kind of names, and I think that for some people that they look at Raheem Sterling as a little bit washed up. You know, he's not been pulling up trees for quite some time now, and they look at it as maybe being a little bit underwhelming. But financially, the deals it's not cost us hardly anything. So, can it be this story that we keep hearing about of this player that is going to reunite with a player that really understands him and is going to be able to have him playing back at his best when he was at Liverpool or when he first came to City before he seemed to drop off. So I think that's what it is. I don't think it's hate. I think it's a bit underwhelming. And I've said this story before. When I found out we were signing Danny Welbeck, I was not a happy chappy. I thought we could be doing better than that. Really? This guy? We could do better than this guy. It's not working out for him at United. So why is it going to... However, his work ethic won me over. I like Danny Welbeck. I have a lot of time for Danny Welbeck. I'm always interested to know what he's up to. Maybe Raheem Sterling can do the same thing by putting in a shift. That's all I ask. If you're going to wear the Arsenal shirt, then put a shift in. You do that, there's not going to be any problems. But if you think you're coming to a retirement home where you're going to get issued a fluffy dressing gown and fluffy slippers and you're going to sit around the spa drinking orange juice, no, we don't want that.
I think it's talent ID is what the thing with Sterling is. We need somebody who's clinical with their striking. That's what we needed. We didn't need. He gives us something different. Yes, he's got pace and all of that to get into the box and all of that, but he's missing chances just like we already doing. So he doesn't change that negative in our attack, right? So he doesn't answer that question.
And I think,
like right now, we're saying we have the only player that we can actually bring off the bench that we know can probably get us a goal is Trossard. If he starts, then we know we don't have anybody we can bring off the bench to get us a goal, right? And that's it. That's the talent ID that we're missing. That's why at the least you bring somebody who gives you better odds to score, right?
Sterling will be that player, right, Gary?
He doesn't give us better chances to score because he's not clinical.
Sterling?
Not clinical.
That first Champions League game against Atalanta is on a Thursday.
Yep.
So
we'll be here.
We're going to be playing 3 away games in the space of 8 days. Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be tough. Definitely going to be tough. And we wanted. Why couldn't we have got a player like Eze? Eberechi Eze,
exactly.
Former Arsenal player. He would have loved to. He would have loved the opportunity to come back and reignite his love for Arsenal. We all agreed that a striker was needed. So we get Sterling. Sterling's the Saka cover. He's possibly going to be a striker option, as Stan has said as well. Sterling will be a huge success. There's a lot of good things in Sterling coming. He has that experience of Champions League football. He'll be motivated to prove Chelsea wrong when he comes and gets on the field. He'll be motivated to score goals and prove Maresca. Not just the games against Chelsea, which will be tasty when he features against Chelsea in those games. But throughout the season, he'll want to show that he's better than his time at Chelsea. The same thing as that Havertz has been doing. Why are we putting so much stock in us being the biggest, strongest, tallest team in the league? We seem to be leaning into that a little bit too much. Bringing players in who are the tallest, win the most amount of duels, but we lose something a little bit in open play. We're finding it maybe a little bit more difficult to score goals in open play. And the Kai Havertz goal, notwithstanding, that was a well taken shot over the keeper. But the way the ball was presented to Kai Havertz, he didn't really have to think about it. And I think that's what Stan and Gary has been saying, that Kai Havertz needs to, when he gets into a situation where he has to think about what he's going to do, maybe he's not as clinical in those situations. The ball was dropped in front of him, bouncing.
Theo Walcott was very similar in that, wasn't he?
Yeah.
When he was given a lot of time to think about things, he'd make the wrong decision. But if it was just like a move and go and blah blah blah, he'd get a result.
Yeah. So we lean too much into the physical. Mourinho was brought in because he can win duels and he's tall. Well, the training.
Well, he obviously didn't win a duel with Gabriel Megalegs, did he? In training,
well, he's out for 2 months now, isn't he?
He lost that duel.
Yeah, he came out second best out of that one. Yeah, and listen, Mikel Arteta came out and said, "Oh, it's just going to be a couple of weeks," but now we hear it's 2 months. So
he lies.
Yes, they all do.
Arteta lies never.
He
Well,
lies.
I'll go to the foot of our stairs.
So, what is our midfield going to look like?
We haven't lost just 3 in midfield now. We've lost 4 because we've lost Milka Morena. That's 4.
What's our midfield going to look like, Stan, without Carbs in midfield?
Well, this is the point I was going to bring up. I mean, he's going to have to play Jorginho with Partey.
Can't do that. Can't do that.
Oh, no.
What's your solution,
For
Gary?
real.
You can't do that.
What's your solution, Gary?
You have to bring Havertz back to the 8. You have to.
No way.
You have no choice. I don't like him there, but he's better than putting Jorginho and Partey on the pitch at the same time. I don't think so.
Who are you playing through the middle?
Who's your striker?
You move somebody, rotate it. You got Sterling and Martinelli and Trossard and Saka. You can pick 3 out of those 4.
Stan.
I think putting Partey and Jorginho on the pitch at the same time, I don't. Because Arteta's not. Is he going to go with a double pivot there defensively?
He'd have to. He would have to.
But have we seen it ever? Have we seen it consistently enough to say, yeah, I'll probably use it in this scenario because we've never done it?
And what happens if Odegaard gets a knock on international duty? Then
We're in
what
trouble.
do we do?
We're in
What
trouble.
happens if Partey gets a knock in Ghana?
No, Partey's not making it back. That's why I
Partey's
don't even think
guaranteed
it's
to
an
get a
option.
fucking knock in the international.
Partey's not coming back.
Who's going to play
He'll
with
hurt
minimal
himself walking
injuries?
up the steps to the plane.
Yeah. Sterling, Trossard, Saka, front line.
Yeah.
Sterling, Trossard, Saka. Okay.
Yeah.
Kai Havertz, that'll bring Sterling into the fray if Kai Havertz goes in the midfield. Jorginho, I wanted Jorginho to play yesterday so he'd get a little bit of rhythm. It'd be very big ask to put Jorginho into a full game now in 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, that's his Arteta's problem.
Well, that's
there's no reason why Partey hasn't
That's
played
one
90
stand.
minutes, and he's played multiple games of 90 minutes. And I'm like, you're pushing him again. You have
Would you
Jorginho
play?
come in and give you 20 to 30 minutes a game. If not, then what was the point of bringing him back?
Would you play Calafiori, Timber, or Zinchenko in midfield?
Not bringing
Why can't-
Zinchenko
why
into
can't
the game.
Trossard play there?
Zinchenko, no. Why do you keep bringing his name up? Please stop. He's not an option for us anymore. Please,
Who?
Stopgap.
Zinchenko.
Trossard. No, I
No,
said Trossard. sorry.
Zinchenko doesn't even get. You don't put his name in any list.
All right.
Until Timber and
He's on
Calafiori
my
are
list.
out, we don't even bring his name up.
He's on my list.
You got a
Craig's
bad
got
list.
it.
You need to change that list. Get some
Arteta
eraser
could
and fix
Arteta
it.
should have brought on Jorginho when Rice got his
That's not a
first
good
yellow
list.
card.
It's a bad list.
Definitely. After
Okay.
sending off, we looked terribly out of sorts and it took us another 10 minutes to regroup ourselves. I'm just getting back on some of the comments that I started here. We need to make a stand now. This one does show the %,000% no ambition at all. Say it's very difficult to stomach and think that we didn't fortify ourselves with 60 games coming up this season by adding another forward or a striker. The reason why the owners are Edu or Teta are moving like this because they're under no pressure from fans or a hierarchy to deliver titles. The board is happy with Champions League money, fans with vibes. Sad to see. Yeah, I mean, until the club proves otherwise, these are accusations to dismiss. Very, very difficult to dismiss.
If we finish without a trophy this season, then questions have got to be asked of Arteta. One major trophy in 5 years, and you've got Eric Ten Hag, probably the worst manager in the Premier League. He's won 2 trophies in 2 years.
Look at their football. Fucking hell.
So
Fucking stadium.
They are, I mean, Manchester United are a shambles right now as a club. But yeah, they
Question,
have
right? Would you rather
have won.
would you over the last couple of years then, would you rather have had Man United's league positioning and lack of being able to get into a Champions League, but take the 2 cups that they've won, and you've got to take the football that you see them play on Match of the Day every week. You've got to take that as well. You've got to watch. You have to watch it. You can't just go, no, I'm not watching. No, you get strapped into a chair.
I
You
mean,
have to watch it.
yeah,
Would you
if
rather have
Manchester
all of
United
that?
fans,
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. And it's easy to say. Oh, they've won 2 cups. We haven't. They're playing. They're shit. Ten Hag's not going to be there by January. The money that
they've
they
won
get,
a Carabao
they
Cup.
spend it poorly. They spend big money so poorly. It's
They've
unbelievable.
won a Carabao Cup over us. That's it. We won an FA Cup. He's won an FA Cup.
They are
They
not
won
in
a
a better
Carabao
place
Cup.
than us. They are not in a better place. If you were an
No.
outside body coming to invest or make a sponsorship move, you'd put your money with Arsenal ahead of Man United because they're better prospects right now, surely.
Yeah.
So I'm not
Agreed.
taking it.
I mean, most weekends we've been on this podcast when it's been miserable. We've lost. When we lost 14 games in a season, we've been on this podcast. And it's actually nicer to come on and talk about mostly winning games. I told you guys at the start of the season, we're going to get together for about 10 times this season where we didn't get the ultimate win that we wanted. Today's one of them where we're talking about a draw. at home to Brighton, and we're looking at Arne slot in Liverpool, and they play quite well to beat a really bad Manchester
Hold on.
United team.
Retro, I know it's about winning trophies, but what I'm saying is, would you rather have everything that Man United have got right now, the way they're playing, the fucking inept management, obviously inept ownership, the way that the money's being badly spent, the 2 cups, a manager that looks like he's on his way out soon rather than later, Harry Maguire playing in your defence, all of these things, Anthony coming off of the bench for you, or would you rather have that upward trajectory
Or you could ask this question,
that we are on now? I would rather continue with what we're on now. There's no way if I could click my fingers and wake up tomorrow morning and have the Manchester United model at Arsenal and they've got what we've got. No way.
Would you
No
rather?
What part of that Liverpool game yesterday is anybody looking at and going, Manchester United is that's the team. That's the team I want to go to, or
Shambles.
as a fan I'm happy with.
Yeah.
None of that. There's no football fan is looking at that game going, Manchester United is in a really good place, and that's where I want my team to be.
I can't believe there's any Man United fan out there today who isn't shitting their pants all of the time, because they know what's coming. Another manager's going to come with new ideas. Everything's going to get ripped up. They're in a state of flux. There's no foundation. They managed to pull off a couple of cups. That's what they managed to do. They managed to pull off a couple of cups. They're not in any kind of consistent ascendancy, whereas we are. We might get 2 cups this season, and then what?
If you really, as a manager, if you really want to go for the Carabao Cup, you can win the Carabao Cup. Mikel Arteta could go and win the Carabao Cup in February. But that means you got to play your full strength side, and then you got to pay attention to Champions League as well as the league through October, November, December, January.
Mikel Arteta won an FA Cup in his first season. He did do that. I remember it.
Yep. The accusation, though,
Yeah,
is
but he hasn't won anything since.
that's
Hasn't
one
won
of the
anything
accusations. The other accusation is he won it with someone else's players, not his team. That's
Still
the
his coaching
accusation.
methods.
Yeah. Well, now this is his own squad. Eddie Nketiah was the last player who started his career under Arsene Wenger. This whole squad is now Mikel Arteta's.
Yeah, definitely. The issue is injuries now. So, who was your man in the match? Yes, against Brighton, Stan. Who are you going to go for? I'm going to pick David Raya. For yet again another save. What?
Yeah, I would go with David Raya as well.
Yeah, me too.
Gary?
Yeah,
Could have been worse.
Yeah,
without him.
I don't know who else actually was consistent in this game. Yeah. No.
Could have been a lot
Here we
worse.
are.
Right? Could have been a lot.
Now, are we in a tough situation now? Because we could, and we probably did say David Raya was our man in the match at Aston Villa. So 2 out of 3 games we could have said that we needed David Raya to get us in this league campaign.
I would say he's been man of the match for all 3 games. You know, you forget that save against Wolves.
Yeah, they had
yeah.
3 times. I think he had like 3 saves.
Yeah.
Is that slightly worrying, Gary? I've just discovered David Raya has been pretty prominent.
Well, I think if you looked at the stats, and so I heard somebody say this, that yes, he's a good shot stopper, and he just was an anomaly that he played the way he did, last season. I think a lot of that had to do with the way Arteta managed his goalkeepers in that scenario that we had, by bringing him in and basically, shutting Ramsdale out. I think that created a conflict there. So now that it's comfortable, like when you bring in a player, they need to know where they stand, and I don't feel like he knew where he stood. So yeah, now we're seeing him make the stops, and I think that's probably what Arteta was looking for. So I don't think Arteta and them are it's a surprise that he's playing that way.
Retro Rewind TV, I get what you say, but at the end of the day, we want our Wenger gone. We're finishing fourth, third, and we won 3 FA Cups with him. I don't get it, to be honest. I take being shit and winning stuff harsh, but it's true. When we were winning FA Cups, the fans wanted Premier Leagues. This is facts. When we were winning FA Cups in the middle of the last decade, the fans wanted Premier Leagues. Because we are Arsenal, we should be competing for Premier Leagues. But let's not now get holier than thou when we're trying to win Premier Leagues, saying we should be winning FA Cups. We definitely should be demanding better in the transfer window. We're looking at a situation now where Declan Rice is suspended. He's going to miss a game, and we're not comfortable with the midfield that's going to be put out against Tottenham. Now it is Tottenham, and they're a really bad team that we should be disposing of.
We should be in a situation where we've got enough confidence going into the first game of the season to say, okay, both Saka and Declan Rice haven't had enough rest. Even though they may have reported back, I don't need to start them. I should be able to maybe tweak it and think, okay, maybe I'll start Partey and Jorginho as a double pivot and have Odegaard ahead of them instead of having 2 8s in the 6. Change it up a bit, but trust my players to still get you through and not have to rely on the same players all of the time, even when they may be tired or not had enough rest. That shows you how there's a lack of depth in that squad. To even consider getting rid of 3 of the midfield and not replacing them, what do you expect?
And that would be in the existing midfield that we had. You could say now, after the window has shut, you could say Bukayo Saka can be that play, or Sterling can be the player that steps in for Bukayo Saka, and Miguel Merino can be the player who steps in for Declan Rice. We have had
happening, is it?
Some bad luck.
Out. I know you can't legislate for those kind of accidents, but we're still short because there's no one else because we've got rid of them.
Yeah, they weren't going to play, but I mean, I want to take a step back because I was going to jump in, but then you guys switched your flow there. We are challenge. We should be everybody wants us challenging for titles, right? And if we're challenging for titles, the phrase I like to say is, you shoot for the star, you land on the moon, right? If we're shooting for the stars, which in our eyes is a Champions League or Premier League, worst case scenario, we land on the moon. That's a domestic cup, right? If that's our level, right? Our level is that we will compete for championships, right? For the big trophies. Worst case scenario, we end up finishing with a domestic cup at the least, right? Right? That should be the case, right? Right?
Yeah.
And that's why definitely. I think it's a barometer of where you stand. Yeah, we weren't able to compete and win a Premier League or a Champions League. We are able to compete in the domestic cups because guess what? In most of those scenarios, most of the competition isn't at a level that will compete for a league or even win a Champions League. So the competition level is lower. So
Champions League, we're going to have a look at the Champions League in more detail on Thursday night, but the Champions League will be no joke. And as Bargov said, going to the likes of Inter Milan and Atalanta, who are the Europa League champions, and having a squad blown out is not going to be good. We're going to have to see what kind of players we have going forward with injuries. We have Miguel Merino injured, and you would put question marks behind Tomiyasu, Zinchenko, Kivior, Jesus, Thomas Partey, and Martinelli. There's about 6 or 7 players that will likely have injuries this season as well. There's question marks behind all of those players. Thomas Partey is going on an international break. We don't know what kind of nick he's going to come back in. It's kind of eye-opening, right, for this season. And as Gary said, we have to cast our net wide this season. We're not just focusing on a Premier League. We have to maintain a Champions League presence where we don't get drawn into a playoff because that's going to hurt us at a time of the year where we play Man City at home in the league in February. And also have to go for cups as well. Are Liverpool better than us? Surely they are challenging. I don't believe pound for pound that Liverpool are better than us at the end of the day. We will gather more points than them, I believe. At the
We
end
haven't got enough depth, I think, to fight on all four fronts. We haven't got a strong enough squad in depth, which means that I think those cup competitions are going to get sacrificed. There'll be really weak squads, and we'll try and do what we can. But
We
we've
don't have a
barely got
weak
enough.
squad. Who's the weak squad you're talking about? All of our plays outside of the academy players can start for us. We're not. It's not like last season where you had 3 academy players
Is our
on the bench
midfield thin?
who were
Gary?
not going to who were
Yeah, but
not
we're
going to
thin.
play. No,
We're weak.
no, but we have. They all can start for us, right? We're deep on the back line right now, right? Only Tomiyasu is the one player out, right? So we're talking about being defensively. There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to defend in any one.
No, I don't see it that way. I think, you know, if we still had Teabag, Emil Smith Rowe, El Neni, they would have featured.
Help us.
They would have featured in some of those cup games.
Yeah.
Because, as we say, we've got no one to replace Odegaard.
We thinned out the squad.
Thomas Partey is made out of balsa wood, and Jorginho hasn't got the legs to play continuous, 2-3 games in a week. So we're very, very thin. And I think that if the focus is going to be on the league or the Champions League, there'll be sacrifices that will be made in the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup because we don't have enough.
I think that always backfires. I think that always backfires because guess what? When you take your foot off the gas, right, and you try to put it back on again, guess what happens? You never you have to start all over again, and all the momentum all the momentum that you build up at that point, and then you go into the next game and you basically say, it doesn't matter. We're going to take our foot off. Is kind of the way I feel it happens, and then you try to turn it back on again when you have a big game. It's hard. You should be always on to win everything. So the competition should be when you're playing in those. It should be the same. It should be the same mindset. Right. Every player that we put on, Gary. You don't have any players that, like I said, outside of Nweri right now in the squad that cannot start for us. Right. They all will start for us. Right. So yes,
be realistic, Gary. The Carabao Cup is not a competition we're going to target.
You don't listen to what I said. I said the only way that we will be able to continue the progress to win a league is if we take everything serious, all right? When I hear what you're saying, you're basically taking your foot off the gas, all right? Like we're going to go into this game and it's okay, and that's not the mindset I think we should have. I believe we have that mindset that guess what, we can take a break.
If you are involved in a Carabao Cup into January and February, you're going to lose points in the league or a Champions League somewhere. Every manager thinks about this. And you have to use your squad in these games. The Carabao Cup is
we don't know where we're going to be in January. If we're still missing Marino, and if Partey's out for the rest of the year, then we can talk about that. But
I'm preparing you.
We're not talking about that right now, right? We'll
probably beat both.
I hear what you're saying, but we haven't even. You're talking about something that might happen, and I'm talking about like right now. If we had to play Bolton, right? If we had to play Bolton and not Atalanta, right? The squad that we would put out, nobody would think we would have. Like we could put out our weakest squad, and it still should be able to compete against Bolton, right? All right.
Yeah, we win that round, but then we go and play someone like maybe Brentford.
Yeah.
Again, or not Southampton. Let's say
our
Crystal
depth has
Palace.
to be better than theirs, right?
And Crystal Palace are going to target.
Are you saying that our depth is not good? Then you're saying that none of our players.
No, I'm saying that.
Game?
These are the games where you have to rotate your team.
Yeah, but we're going to rotate. But think about it. We're rotating right now, right? We have Calafiore of Timber, who rotates, and then behind him is Calafiore, right? Right? At 6, you have Partey and Jorginho, and for one game, you're fine with that, right? All right. Now we have to go with Trossard probably coming in as a false 9, and Havertz going back to the 8. That's not a significant drop.
We have a keeper that's cup tied as well.
Yeah. So we've got some problems, right? That's Arsenal decided with their what they decided.
We hamstrung ourselves a little bit.
Yeah.
We definitely did. Well, listen, I got to
But this is
wind
all
it
on
up
the
here a little bit.
proviso that you've just had a league game.
Gary.
You've got the Caribou Cup game coming up 3 days later, and everybody that played in the league game is fit enough to go straight into that league game without. Okay, it doesn't work like that. Someone like Havertz, if he played like maybe 80 minutes, maybe when it gets right, he's not fit enough. So you have to make these changes now, and I think that we're thin, especially in the midfield. I think we're incredibly thin in the midfield.
We're going to see how the season
Right.
rolls out, but we are going to be on a podcast in October, November, where we've gone out of the Carabao Cup.
Right. Can I quickly?
If you think that already, then
Right,
forget about
can
it,
I- can
right?
I-
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Can
a
I
difference
quickly
between
say-
realism and what you want to happen. There is that difference.
I agree with Ray.
I'm just being realistic
right.
about this. You want
Not
this to
deep.
happen.
Right.
Gary. I want it to happen,
Right.
but don't be surprised when realism hits you, Lawrence.
Right. Can I quickly say I've just been on a on the website that tells you how long it takes to recover from a medical condition. I typed in fractured elbow, which is what Marino's got. They say it takes 4 to 6 months
I think it's a
to be
shoulder
fully
bone,
fit.
right? I'm not sure.
No, it's an elbow,
He's got a
fractured
shoulder.
elbow.
His shoulder. It's a shoulder. That's what they've been saying.
Oh, okay.
They've been saying.
Yeah,
Well,
shoulder,
from
like
what
a
I read, the
collarbone,
website says
like-
it's a fractured
It
elbow.
depends on the size. Also depends on the size of the fracture. He could actually be doing some light physio. He could be running and maintaining his fitness in some way. We don't know exactly how it is. Retro said, when does competing for 2 trophies not become enough, though? When should Arteta have to push the squad to compete on 4th? When we have a squad big enough to do that, and there's holes in our squad. We have availability issues as well. I think the squad's healthier and stronger, says Michael. It's my cheerleader back there. This is the year squad rotation needs to be learned.
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
That's the problem I have
Sure,
with this.
Bargoff.
Squad rotation isn't now we do it. It was that's how you set up a team from day one.
Those players who did not get minutes last season, I'm talking about Smith Rowe, Fabio Vieira, and
Should
Kedia.
have gotten more minutes.
They should have gotten more minutes. And now we're in a situation now, Gary, where we only have 6 forwards, and they will get minutes. We only have maybe 5 or 6 midfielders,
Yeah.
and they will get minutes.
That's
know what I
where
mean?
that's where you see even the most experienced managers have academy players they can bring in because they know exactly how to play. So
There we go.
that's you at some point you might have to do that, and that should always be part of your plan. If not,
Yeah.
then you're doing something wrong.
BS Gunner said, we're not perfect, but we look good. And that's where we are, 7 points out of 9. It's not the worst thing in the world. Does Arsenal have enough going forward this season? I would tend to say no right now. I think we need a little bit more going forward this season. I think we are who we were last year. We've improved our defense a little bit with Timber being like a new signing, Marino and Calafiori. But I think Stan agrees we don't have enough going forward as well, right, Stan?
Question: those new signings, right? Compared to where we were last season and how we did, are the additions in your eyes? Were they enough to move the needle where we can go past Man City? I don't think so.
No.
No, because I
I don't
think defensively we're going to be similar. We might concede the same amount of goals last season. We might score the same amount as last season, but in the key moments, we're going to lose the game 1-0 somewhere or 2-1.
Well, we're like depending on we want to be lucky once again, right? We want to be lucky that Tomiyasu won't be injured. That didn't happen. We want to be lucky that Jesus won't get injured. He's already done that. We're going to be lucky that one of our players that we bring in won't be injured before he gets to play. Well, we haven't gotten that either. We're going to have to be lucky that that Havertz is more clinical. One-on-one situations so far not good, right? And then we're going to also be lucky that Martinelli will return to form and be a little bit more clinical in his attack. Not that either. You know, everything that we have to depend on for the season to be anywhere near it was last year, so far, not good.
And all of those players that we let go, even though they may not have been favourites of the manager, I guarantee you at some point they would have got minutes, maybe not a lot, but they would have got a minutes when it was direly needed, because players would have been injured or they would have had to be taken out of games and you've got to bring someone on. We don't have those bodies to fall back on now, let alone replacing them with players that would have got more minutes because they would have been more meaningful in games. We're weaker, in my eyes. We're weaker. Teabag would have got minutes.
Teabag would have got minutes.
Eddie at some point, remember, we had to put it. So he would have got minutes at some point if Jesus is out for a long period of time. You know, you can't expect Havertz to play every game. He would have come off the bench. We don't have that anymore.
Yeah, here's the deal where we come back against.
Emil Smith Rowe would have got some minutes.
Yeah,
we don't have that. We don't have that option anymore.
I know our squad was too big and Arteta had to trim it down a little bit, but I think he's got the balance a little bit wrong. We've got a lot of defenders and we don't have a lot of forwards. And forwards in this league is where you're going to win games a lot of the time as well. As Stan said, we can't clump 3 or 4 results together that are bad. 2 wins and we got this draw. We have to come back now against Tottenham, beat them there, and go to the Etihad. And that's going to be one where we have to go for it. You know, as Gary said, go for that W rather than being circumspect at the back. Listen, got to leave it there. Thanks for Stan joining, Lawrence being here also, and Gary. Thanks for being here, Gary. And Gary will have a This is the Super Sunday show on a Monday, and Gary will be having a show later tonight. Anyone else have anything else to say before we go real quick? And I'll hit the button and end this one. All good, Stan?
Yeah.
All right. Watch Gary will be on a little bit later. Lawrence, thanks for being here. Stan, thanks for being here. Take care, everyone.
Yeah, thanks.
Go into the
That's
Interlull.
right.
We'll be here
Bye.
Thursday to talk about Champions League as well. Take care.